Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey there everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is November 1st, it is 10 o'clock, and we've got some severe weather to talk about. If you read my blog from Sunday, you know what's coming our way. It's a pretty strong storm system. Remember, we usually have a severe weather season. It's a mini one, usually happens around the last week of September through October to about the first, second week of November. That's usually our window, give or take, a few days on either side of that. And we really only had one kind of a marginal event here across the state, but this one looks like a pretty decent event as far as for what it is. Some good rain. The model data is coming in. Now we're kind of getting that shorter time frame. We can start to look at some more of those intricate parameters to kind of find out a little bit more details on the timing of things, how much rain, if there's going to be severe weather, where, what's it going to be, the form, all that kind of stuff. So thanks for joining me. We're going to do this here tonight. I'll do another live update tomorrow night, I believe. I'm going to try to do that probably about around 9:30. I'll try to get on a little earlier tomorrow night. When I get back from dinner, and then we'll kind of play it ear from there. And then if it looks like tornadoes are going to be a problem, then I'll do some live cut-ins in theory. It depends on when this is going to happen. We're going to take a look at some data. Just came in, hot off the presses. So thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and share this video. Tell your friends and family about ET's weather, how they can get the latest information without all the hype and drama and nonsense that comes now with clickbait everywhere. So this is an anti-clickbait situation. Okay, so let's get on. Oh, first thing real quick here for you guys. By the way, thanks for watching on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Rumble. So see you guys on Facebook here. You can click this link I just posted. If you're having trouble getting notified when I do go live, click that link and opt in to get live updates sent directly from me to you personally through your Facebook Instant Messenger, and that way you don't miss a broadcast, especially as we're starting to talk about the potential for some tornadoes, right? So if that's going to be in the forecast, you definitely don't want to miss anything. And now I like to hold the specific talk of that kind of deal to about 48 hours out from the event. We're not quite there yet, so I'm not going to harp on that, but I'm going to kind of give you the overall picture of the way things are looking. And we'll do this here rather quickly. All right, so here's a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere first off. Show you the big picture of things of how we do have a strong upper level storm system out here across the west coast. Now that's going to be zipping on down into the Four Corners area of the desert southwest, and then into New Mexico by midday Friday. And then by Friday evening, it's kicked out right, let's see, the center of it's basically kind of on the, almost not quite dead center of New Mexico, just a little east of there. Now this is the NAM model, so it's actually drifted the storm system a little bit more to the north. It had a little bit more south bias the last few runs, so it's kind of coming in more with the other models. Now, the problem with that is it's good and bad. It means that the system's moving a little faster, which means the rain will end sooner, which means less rain for the state overall. And it's going to still get some good rainfall totals, especially eastern half of Oklahoma. We'll get to that here in a second. Meanwhile, as we head into the period from Friday evening, you see all these little bright colors pop up here across Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. This is all lift in the atmosphere. So this is all the vorticity that comes out ahead of this upper level low. And when you have that kicking off, you can see that means Friday afternoon and evenings will be quite bumpy around here through Friday night. And then the storm system itself, look at all that major lift here in blue on Saturday morning. Now what that means is that's going to push any residual storm activity now east of central Oklahoma, putting into more of an eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, from Missouri for the remainder of Saturday. So if you read my blog, I said most of it probably ends Saturday morning. This jives with that. So if you still have some weekend plans, don't worry, you can get all those in. Ground conditions may be a little wet, a little muddy as a result, but you can at least get it done. All right, so we look underneath that layer of instability to the 700 millibar layer. We can look at the vertical velocities. This kind of shows you when all those clouds will turn into some really good rainfall. And as we head into Friday morning, you see how we're already starting off the day with a lot of these little areas of colors that show up. So this is all a lot of lift mid-level lift in the atmosphere. And then you get them really heavy. Get these little red, purple, even some blue. That's some very heavy lift. I mean, it's cranking out whatever precipitation the atmosphere is able to do. It's going to crank it out. So there's a big nasty line, looks like, from Tulsa just around the east side of Oklahoma City all the way down to Ardmore and west of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area by Friday evening. So if you've noticed, there is a window there where the storms get a little carried away as we head into the evening hours, and then probably up to about midnight. Here's a midnight view here at eastern Oklahoma. You can see those kind of continue. But as you head into Saturday morning, look what happens. See, all this mid-level lift is now pressing to the eastern parts of the state. There's a little wrap around here, the northern counties that'll zip on through, and that'll take whatever leftover showers and clouds along with it Saturday morning at about lunchtime or so out of the state, and that should kind of dry us out. So what do we have to work with instability-wise with this particular thunderstorm maker, this upper level low? Well, you need shear in the atmosphere. This is Thursday evening, so we do have the shear that's starting to develop out here in western Oklahoma, and by that I mean, let's do this right here. This little red arrow, you see, the little guy coming in, kind of it looks like a southeasterly fetch. Then you have this little black arrow, comes out of a southwesterly fetch. So the degree of this between these two vectors here, these vector arrows, the bigger the degrees, in other words, if it's 45 degrees between the two, if it's 60 degrees or 90 degrees, the more turning you have in the atmosphere for better producing for supercells and potential for tornadoes. So if you want that kind of an aspect, you want these arrow barbs to be really, technically, literature for all intents and purposes, 45 degrees will do it. But every degree after that, 60 degrees or 90 degrees is just adding insult to injury. And it goes even higher than that, but you don't necessarily need it. It's just you need something at least this minimal stage to get a rotating storm. So it looks like we're going to have that here as far as part of the ingredients. Also, you see this little gray area. This indicates moisture, but you see the number on the screen. It says 465. There's some up around 800, maybe a little bit joules per kilogram. So that's moisture that's working in instability. And you got to have at least a little bit of low-level instability come in for those storms to get buoyant and to develop into some stronger thunderstorms. Okay, so this is for Thursday evening, as we mentioned. This is all out in the panhandle of Texas and western Oklahoma. So there is a slight risk of severe storms out there, but the cap may hold. Could be some panhandle magic. The models aren't exactly gung-ho on it. They try to fire stuff off and it weakens. Other models kind of keep it going, but late overnight into Friday morning. But meanwhile, here's a look at Friday afternoon as far as the instability goes and a look at the shear. So at this point in time, the best shear for, say, 6 to 7 o'clock on Friday afternoon and evening is right here in the corridor of I-35. So pretty much running north-south from Ponca City through Oklahoma City back down to Ardmore. So this would be like the sweet spot, for example, for rotating thunderstorms. And then what happens is we head to, about midnight. A lot of instability kind of wanes. So that means the storms will weaken as far as that kind of a potential goes, and the shear isn't nearly as great in the vector sense. In other words, it becomes more of a squall line, a linear, and you can sometimes get a QLCS type tornado on the leading edge of those. Otherwise, it becomes just basically a wind and a little bit of hail event with some very heavy rainfall. And that's why the rainfall total will be quite significant down there. All right, so here's one of our high-resolution models for Thursday. Let me back this up here. So this is Thursday afternoon. You notice how there's some sprinkles. The models try to get something going, but the cap holds, and they don't really do anything with it. So we'll watch to see if this changes, but some of the other data I've seen kind of going along with this idea. We can look at another high-resolution model that goes out that far in distance, and we'll see what it does. This one's always a little bit more excitable, let's just say. So let's see what it does. Yeah, it got a little excitable there. But that's midnight. That's after midnight, actually, Thursday night and Friday. You can see how those excitable thunderstorms develop into the overnight hours in western Oklahoma, on into the daybreak hours here in central Oklahoma by 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. So Friday morning could be rolling with some thunderstorms around here, assuming that there's not a cap as an issue and we get things to go. Right now, I'm kind of favoring on the idea of storms to go. Is how I'm looking at it right now. It's because it's a pretty strong storm system, so I don't think that'll be a huge issue for us to overcome. Okay, significant tornado parameter. And again, we're going to look at this briefly just to show you that it does show some colors on the map, which indicates that conditions are getting better in the environment for that. For Thursday night and a Friday out in western Oklahoma. So what that could mean is maybe an isolated tornado overnight with that cluster of storms that moves east for our Friday. And we have kind of a secondary pulse of instability, etc., along the I-35 corridor here from sweet spot from central Oklahoma down south and north Texas. So again, any storms in that environment would tend to rotate. And we'll see how this parameter increases or decreases with an upcoming model runs over the next couple of days. Okay, so timing of all this stuff. Let's get to the radar here for you. Let's see. So here's Thursday morning, and this model also doesn't really produce much Thursday night at all. I'm kind of disappointed in what it's doing, but hey, you know what? Maybe it's smarter than me. We'll see. We got plenty more time to fine tune this. But by Friday afternoon, that's when it really starts to kind of light things up from 4 to 7 o'clock here, pretty much all over central, southern, northern Oklahoma. And then there's that kind of leading edge at 10 o'clock where it's trying to start to do more of a squall line type appendage, especially eastern parts of the state. And then kind of wrap around showers out central and west, etc. We already talked about. Even it tries to get cold enough on Saturday morning for a little snow out here in northwestern Oklahoma. So let me go take a look at that. It's got a temperature of 33 degrees over a dew point of 32. You know what? Yeah, if that were to actually pan out, you could have a little bit of wet snowflakes mixed in around the Woodward area, maybe even as far south as Elk City Saturday morning. So just a little heads up with that. All right, I'm going to back up here to let's go to Friday, 4 o'clock. Let's go 4 o'clock first. I'm just going to pick a random spot here in central Oklahoma to look at the shear forecast, the atmosphere. All right, so the shear and instability is definitely good enough for severe thunderstorms. Low level lifting condensation level, so the cloud base will be very low to the ground. It's usually a pretty good setup for potential tornado, and as we go between that 4 and 7 o'clock window in the model data, it does show possible hazard type of a tornado at that point in time, with a little bit of hail and a supercell characteristic with 1200 CAPE. So again, this model is very bullish on this outcome this far out, but I caution you, always hold up. Don't freak out. 48 hours is when we'll get the best data that starts to show up, because a lot can change, the timing can change, it can kick out, be something missing in the overall environment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's a look at rainfall amounts. If we take a look at the average smooth model blend, you're looking at, the 1 to maybe 2 inches here across the corridor of central corridor of Oklahoma. Not as much, obviously, out to the west, unless, we got those bigger thunderstorms that do manage to get going and hang on there for Thursday night. And otherwise, the easy call is 2 inches plus, maybe 3 in many pockets out here in eastern third of the state. So from Barnesville to Tulsa down to McAllister, that is where you're going to get the heaviest round of rainfall. Not to say you can't get isolated 2, 3, or 4 inches anywhere in this area. If you can get a really good, either a line of thunderstorms, a couple of supercells, you can get up really high amounts of rainfall really quickly in this environment. So that's some interesting news for you. Okay, let's see real quick. What else do I want to show you? Let's go ahead and look at this real quick, and we'll look at the dew points. And then we'll look at the 10-day forecast, and then we're out of here. Okay, so let's see. Timeline here on the FROPA, which is shorthand for frontal position, frontal propagation, frontal passage, all that more. All right, here's Friday at 7 o'clock. So it has the cold front up here. Let me draw that for you. Oops, wrong one. This guy. Right about like so. So you can see where the wind bars kind of come into this direction. So we'll see, the models will fine tune the exact position of this, but right now it's kind of keeping it here in this location. As we head into the 10 o'clock, you can see how it quickly progresses in this vicinity here. So it's moving rather fast. Now, also what can happen, and which you have to watch for in the fall really, is if you get these fronts that are too strong that come in like this, they can undercut these storms that may fire out ahead of it. Like supercell storms, for example. And we call it undercutting. Now, if the cold front undercuts it, slices right underneath it, guess what? It kills the tornado aspect. Dead, zero, nothing. Which is why you got to be cautionary this far out, because this is one of those freaky things that happens a lot. And all of a sudden, you may be thinking, it's a great environment for tornadoes, and here comes those supercell storms. Oh, the front just undercut all the updrafts. Now it's just a heavy rainmaker with some hail. That happens a lot. So that's why you don't want to overpromise something and underdeliver at the end. Not to say that any of us want delivered on tornadoes, but that's what you got to watch out for. Okay, dew point values. Take a look at that. See how much juice is loose. Back into the 50s. You're going to start to feel the humidity a little bit here for tomorrow. And then there's that stronger, or I should say deeper moisture coming into the low 60s as we head into Thursday afternoon and evening. Those low 60s kind of hang in there for Friday. Again, we're going to have scattered showers and thunderstorms all day. Its temperatures will be into the, its dew point values will be into the mid 60s by the evening. So that's where we get our little peak window of higher Cape values, better parameters for severe weather. So that is all of that and then some. Temperatures, 73 degrees for Wednesday. Another great day. Enjoy it. Wednesday's our last really guaranteed nice day. Thursday's not bad. It's just going to be a little more on the humid side, 72 degrees. I still like it. It's good for me. And then Friday, obviously, is going to be the stormy day. Weekend, a little bit cooler because of the passage of that upper level low. Not that necessarily there's a big, strong push of cold air behind it, but needless to say, that'll cool us down for a little bit. And then as we head into the rest of the weekend, not bad. And then next week, we'll have another front that comes in here later on. But you can see temperatures are cooling back down somewhat. But hey, if we can do 70s for daytime highs and 50s for lows, I'm okay with that. It's usually pretty good for me. I don't know about you, but it's fall here in Oklahoma. So there you go. So what my plan is, again, is to kind of watch things for you and update you on social media with some updated graphics when it looks like we may be having a marginal tornado threat or significant or whatever it may be. In this particular case, it's not a it's an off hour event. All right. So in other words, with a lot of the lift and instability is coming out Friday morning, right, through the day on Friday. So it's not like the typical springtime event where we have all day just to heat up. We can get into the 80s and 90s. We don't. It's not that kind of a pattern. It's not that kind of a situation. In the fall, you don't necessarily have to have it like that, but it becomes a lot more muddied. It's a lot more. We call it grunge. It's overcast. It's cloudy. Everything's low to the ground. So you can't tell what you're looking at. Everything looks like a tornado. Or everything looks like rotation. So you have a lot of that situation on Friday. It's rain off and on. So it'll be a messy day probably just because of all that. But if it turns out that'll be a threat, then I'll be tracking it for you on radar. All right, let me think. I just checked you guys out on YouTube. Looks like you're good. Jody's keeping you in check. So she's always got my back there helping you out in the comments. And you guys on Twitter, again, always feel free to leave comments there. Although, of course, since they took away the Periscope thing, it's hard to see comments live on the fly. Twitter, I don't know, now that Elon's taken over, maybe they'll revamp the whole live thing, so we'll see how they end up doing it. And of course on Facebook I see, Darla, thank you for the stars tonight, by the way. I always appreciate you guys when you support me by sending those Facebook stars. Helps out to help fund all this stuff that I do. All right, let me think. Anything else? I think that's all I got for you. I guess that's it for me. Listen, guys, thanks for watching tonight, for stopping by. Tell your friends and family again about AT's Weather. Make sure you get my weather app, AT's Weather to go. It's free, Apple, Google Play. Just search for the term AT's Weather. You can even probably search my name, Aaron Tuttle. It should populate on Apple and Google Play, and then you can download it, install it. It'll predict tornadoes before they actually happen. You're like, what? Yeah, it's true. It gives you a heads up before an actual official tornado warning comes out. It does that because it's smart. It's got algorithms proprietary algorithms that look at the entire environment, look at the current radar situation of each individual storm, and then predicts whether or not that storm is going to produce a tornado. And it'll give you a warning based off of that with let's call it a confidence factor, right? From like a 0 to 10. So if it's in the lower numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, it means it's rotation, but it's not confident enough that it's going to be a trigger a tornado. But it's going to warn you anyway to keep an eye on it. But it's going to give you that lower number so that you can at least, breathe easy and just, be aware. And then as it scales up to 7, 8, 9, 10, if it's at a 7 above, it's a tornado. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it seems like in some of the data, it's a tornado. So at that point in time, you want to hit the deck. You want to take your cover, and that's bathtub, center part of the home. If you got a storm shelter, use it, obviously. But the key is just to be on the lowest floor and away from all outside walls and windows. And I scroll this at the bottom every broadcast. Why do I do that? Because you're like, some of that, it's a little repetitive. That's the point. I want this to where you can do this in your sleep, because a lot of times these things happen. You are asleep. You either just went to bed, or you just woke up, or you just hit that deep REM sleep, and you don't even know what day it is. Well, don't worry. If you've been looking at this and observing it and absorbing it, you know exactly what to do for your kids and your family and make sure everybody's safe. So that's kind of the reason why I put that on there for you. Okay, that's it for me. Guys, been great as always, and we'll do a few more of these updates here over this week to make sure everybody stays safe. All right, take care, everybody. Have a good night. Good sleep.